Cool. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode. Today we have Nara. I'm so excited to have her here because we are covering one of the most important topic of networking, and this is going to be networking 101. And so many people are very eager to know this in this generation. You
Mm,
know how important networking is. So, a little introduction to Nara. She's the architect turned head of brand design, and she works as a brand designer, and then she's also she's also an ambassador for ADPList for the New York chapter. Welcome,
mhm.
Nara. So excited to have you here and love to learn more about you, learning from your branding experience and being the head of brand design and how people can build personal brand network and things like that. I'll leave it up to you and love to learn more about you, and please introduce yourself to us. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Nara. I'm half Thai, half Chinese. Originally from Thailand, but I'm here in New York for like about 8 years now. Yeah, and the reason I came here was I study architecture, and I came here for the master degree in architecture. Um, that's like how life start to take turns when things get really hard in New York. Um, I frankly love the study of architecture, but the first year of being an architect in the real field is kind of like a heartbroken journey. Like I took it the whole year to learn if I actually hate it because it's too much work or if it because of like a lot of stuff or a lot of constraint. It turned out to be like in every aspect possible of like not healthy, staying up too late, not like the pay isn't worth it, just
Mm.
frankly speaking, and a lot of factors like living in New York, the rent is really high. Like it's gotten me thinking a lot like how long will I be sustainable enough
Mhm.
to have a healthier life where I actually get to exercise, also not sleep way too late and don't have to like go to hospital when I reach my like mid 30 or 40, right? So at that time I'm kind of like finding a kind of like a spiritual healing where I find it's really interesting that I turned into graphic designer for my part-time job. The reason I did it was maybe because first, rent was really horrible back then. And second thing is I find graphic design and branding design very, very calming. Like I came back from a day of work as an architect. I was so tired, but at the moment I look at branding and at the moment I was thinking like, how can we actually make people see this brand differently or more tuning into like what they like to see or what they like to buy? I feel excited. I feel like, wow, this is like, okay, this is a marketing strategy here. This is some user research here. We're going to combine it, make it look like a visual pleasing branding, those kind of stuff. It's just so happy. I feel happy. And I was talking to myself like, if I came home feeling this tired, but this thing kind of like light up my day, even though it's still work, But the only thing that's maybe a little bit different is that maybe I have more passion into the graphic design work and the branding work, right? So I just realized at that moment, I'm like, let's have more projects. That's the first thing people ask. Like, I know you're an architect. Okay, you can have project from a lot of architectural stuff, but how did you get graphic design work? It's not this similar thing actually. It's housing, and this is like maybe, website, maybe like brochure, maybe like social media design. How? Right? So that's why networking come into the game here. I realized like, okay, I have a little bit of network that I built in Thailand before I leave Thailand and come here in New York that a lot of people know me for being really good at graphic design. So counting back to being an architect again, we have to present. Architect is one of the few where you present people with visionary. You don't have an actual building when you sell the ideas, right? You have nothing. Everything is 3D renderings. Everything is conceptual. But how can people actually place that big giant amount of money and say, yes, we're going to build it without knowing that it's going to turn out that way, like 100%? So again, I was like, oh, wait, people kept saying that I should do branding back when I was an architect. because all my graphic design, like I go extra when I do like my final presentation. I have like a brand kit for my building that people can take home with like brochure, with like everything, with like even the texture of some of the like surface that I would like to build. I had that, and I was like, wow, wait a minute, people know me for that. So the very first project I got for branding is all in Thailand. I built from there, but then it's also because of networking. Because when you actually get a project, you make sure that you do your great job, but how can other people that never know you about it, right? So it's more of like now people just talking to another friend and being like, hey, this person can do this job and she can do it really well. The price friendly, she treat the project really nice. Then that's more like the not you doing the networking. That's more like people that are your clients doing the networking for you. And then that's where you start building the projects. And then that's when you can start approaching other people when you see like, oh, this person need help. Then you approach them and be like, hey, I got, some people recommended me for this project. I would love to network with you and see like actually there's a potential there. So that's how I got into like becoming more of a graphic designer when I'm actually graduated, master degree as an architect. It was a big turn in life, I'm not gonna lie, because a lot of people were like, how long did you study? You went to master degree and trash it all. And I'm like, yes, architecture master degree is only 1 year because I studied 5 years in bachelor, so 6 years in totals to get these two certificates and I trash it.
Mm,
But I can rephrase it too that I leave some part of it. I took other part, I'm strong at it and built from there. So, to anyone, even though this is not the topic for changing career, but to anyone that's listening right here, networking to find a better path to life, like, more like, I don't know about work-life balance. I know about like passion and how you actually wake up to work, you will feel tired, but less. I'm sorry, that's a strong word. Yeah. But yeah, for those who looking for like better way,
mhm,
better path, it's okay. It's always okay to hate what you like actually study. It is always okay. At least when you know that you don't like it, you know what you like better. At
mhm,
least, and that's a path. So this is like when I'm gonna say like I start to notice that if I actually network more by myself, I might actually have more chances of saying to people like I can do this, and I can actually do it really well. And that's when like a little bit of personal branding coming in because that is when you approach people as in person and also like they see like how you decorate yourself, you know they see everything, right? So that's like if you think about networking, maybe back then before COVID, it might be more of like talking position, right? Like networking back then is more of like I I'm actually here, where are you? Or like, I want to be there, like, I want to connect with you. But after COVID, there's a lot of demands that people want to connect to each other as a human because we can see that the world is blocking us from being physically next to each other and talking to each other, or maybe holding a coffee cup in a coffee shop and talking to each other. That kind of like daily life scenario was missing. Humans are social animals. Even though you are introvert, even though you are extrovert, it doesn't really like mean that you don't want to talk to human at all. But you need to set like the right space for different type of people to be able to talk and express themselves. Like one thing that I mentioned about introvert, extrovert, or ambivert is that before COVID, um, I was an introvert, which is um, I thought I was an introvert all along. Now, extrovert. I would say like thing can change. I just built a really strong like I don't know like feeling of like wanting to connect with people in person during the COVID time because like it was so deficit. And it was so stressful, and you work from home for like 3+ years, and you feel just like, at least if I can just sit with someone that is on their laptop working, don't need to talk to me at all, I would love it, right? So then, yeah, I was like, I understand both sides of spectrum in terms of introvert, extrovert. um, maybe one day you wake up and you realize like you're extrovert or in some part of your life. That's why there's a term called ambivert, where like, there's some part that you just want to be by yourself and some part that you would love to just like be with people, and you feel like you have energy from being near people. It's okay. You don't even need to define yourself. So, when you go to networking event, I just want you guys to feel more of like, doesn't matter as long as you feel safe. But for the event people that even host, that's one thing that I learned is that I've been like trying to do a lot of events, right? Because after COVID, I realized like a lot of layoff happens.
Hmm.
And second thing is that you can see in LinkedIn everywhere, like people have to be writing a long post telling that, hey, this is what happened to me. I can do this. I can do that. But think about this. Can the post talk how you hear it talk, the accent, the way it talk, the confidence it reflects is not as strong as when you talk to that person. But how can that person shine and talk, right? That's why events come in and networking come in like a big role here, where you
Hmm.
can actually have stage for everybody to at least, be able to tell their passion. And so that's when I realized like I want to build more events because I'm the one that got affected by layoff too last year in October. Yeah. I kept seeing like layoff
Hmm.
happen, and I survived all the stages until they just shut down my departments. And I'm like, okay, this is it. You know, um, we cannot do anything. We just one employee there, right? And we got affected. But it's about how you think about it. Like, are you gonna play victim? You're gonna feel like, it sucks. Of course it sucks. No one likes it. It's instabilities, it's a lot of problem coming in. It's like, especially if you actually just buy a house, or you're like maybe international students or international employee. There's a lot of life factor playing in there. So I was like, you know what? I know there's a bunch of people maybe thinking the same spectrum, that like I want to connect with someone at least, doesn't need to be like I need to connect for position, but maybe like to share the story and maybe to help each other build portfolio or share the passion or maybe build some project that we feel so interest of, like be a human about it. So the first event that I host with ADPList was the mentor only because, I feel like I'm a newbie in this game. That's the very first event. I want to make sure the environment is small enough so that I can actually make sure that we get to talk, connect as a human. We actually, laugh. We don't like, we don't have to have a badge where it's say like name, position, company. More of like name, what you are interested at. Um, that's when I learned like, okay, small group work good, but this
Hmm.
is too exclusive. So the second event that I started to host was like the one with mentor and mentees. Feedback was great, like really, really good. We keep doing it. And then by the end of the year, we have to break that meetup into two parts because all the sign up were like exceeding the maximum capacity. And we would love to host everyone because so many people got laid off at the end of the year.
Hmm.
And you think about that pain. They
Yeah.
were looking forward to go back to Thanksgiving to their family. They were just wanting to celebrate with their family. And the next thing they look at their email is that, I'm sorry, your role got affected. Like, I was
Yeah.
like, okay, yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
sorry. Yeah, no, I think that I kind of saw that happening a lot, and during, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
Thanksgiving and during the Christmas and everything, which is pretty
Yeah.
sad. And it kind of brought up this need. I think this didn't exist like before, right? The need to build the personal brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
How can like one build a personal brand and why that is
Yeah.
important? And especially
Yeah.
like nowadays, I feel like that's important. It's not necessarily building a huge social media presence, but I think you know better how we can best build a personal brand. Tell us more about that. Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, like, as a designer, since I'm talking in the scope of designer, right? I would just maybe conclude here because I know like different people maybe have different branding. For example, maybe like designer need the portfolio, architect also need portfolio, but maybe engineer might need like other thing else. So we will cover in the scope of designer first. So I would say like, anything before you go to networking, please make sure you have these website portfolio first, resume that is updated, LinkedIn, so people can connect with you. But that are like basic, simple stuff. That's just like how you wear your dress, how you wear your earring and stuff. Those are the basic stuff. But like for when it comes to personal branding, as a brand designer, I would say you have to stay cohesive and you have to make sure that you actually talk your branding consistently from maybe like your website portfolio, maybe even like your resume, or even the voice of tone of like, how you dress up and present yourself on that day or something like that. So if you actually, we will attach this link at the end of this clip for my portfolio and also the Figma link for the QR code that we're talking about. So how do I build my personal branding? So one of the backstory about this is that my LinkedIn was, I think, under 1,000 people followers. After rebranding all my website and also thinking through like use case of like how do we network faster, connect faster, and make sure that you get connected, is that I built a QR code on my mobile phone, and that thing kind of works so well. Now I'm reaching 3K followers very, very fast. And first event that I went to network was Config.
Yeah,
Not
and
this
that's how we
year,
met.
but last year.
Yeah.
That's oh no, it's last year. We
Oh,
met
last
this
year.
year.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the first
Yeah.
networking event. So that's
Mm,
like when things just get started.
mm.
So you can see like that is pretty fast for like almost 2,000 plus people to connect with me. And this is the connection that actually curated and also, you know me, I know you. I won't say like all of them is the people I met, but at least like most of the people that I got QR code access, scan, connect, we know each other. We saw each other, we connect in person. And when you actually reach out to them, it's a lot easier because they remember you. And then they remember you like, oh, that's the person with like the QR code like on their phone. That's so smart. First thing I heard is like, wow, I should have done that. Because you're thinking about this. Branding exists from your name card. Medieval time, people use name card. That's why you have your name card like glossy, matte satin finish, all those stuff. It's all about branding. But think about this. When you receive your latest name card, where do you put it? Did you even input that phone number and then emails into your whatever? Like, you ever reach out to networking through your phone contact? I don't know about you, but that's not me. Because,
Yeah.
this
Yeah,
day
me
is all about scam and stuff. Yeah, you need your LinkedIn. You need LinkedIn, at least you need LinkedIn. So that's why, like, I have this QR code built in my phone. And whenever I go to the networking, you know, you don't talk your position. This is one thing, and it's also about personal branding too. You talk passion. It's the same P, but it's so different. Position, think about this. When you go networking, like I know you might be on the third floor, right? On that day at config. When
Mhm.
people talk to you like, oh, what music you like? You will be like, oh yeah, you want to check out my Spotify? And then you remember that person right away, like, oh, maybe she like hip hop like me. You know, that's more like, okay, but you ever remember like, okay, that person is VP of blah blah blah. That person is like, maybe if that is what you're going for. Right? For me, most of the people that I connect with, I'm like, I start a conversation like a human. Like, you think this what like the weather today is a bit like too cold, right? Or something like, hey, like I flew all the way from here. Like, where are you from? Like, I like your outfit. Blah blah blah. All those are like outer personal branding too. So that's why when I go to event like this, one thing about me is that I will make sure I have my nails. That's one thing about me. It's just like, this is just something that makes you feel confident
Yeah,
for me.
presentation
I would,
matters. Yeah.
presentation matters. And so like, it doesn't need to be like perfect, like where
Mm,
people have to be like on a runway. Appropriate is what we're asking for. You're not gonna
mm,
wear like, super mini skirt to like a conference, right? Because it's not very functional. But like, at least clean up yourself. Personal branding is really important. This is like you representing yourself, and especially as a designer. People will be like, oh, as a designer, seem like you like colors, seem like you like to have minimalist styles, blah, blah, blah. And then
mm.
when people approach you, it's like some people might be like, oh, that's so shallow. You connect to other people with just looking at the outer shell. But again, trust me, it's at least be appropriate. Like, you don't need to be like a, a fashion model walking out, but just do something, groom yourself. Yeah, that's the first thing that I will actually say too, in terms of boosting your confidence so that you feel more like you want to talk to other people. Yeah. No, you have a question.
Yeah, no, yeah. So that's very important, right? Like how we present
Mm-hmm.
ourselves, because we are
Mm-hmm.
the brand and the personal brand, and
Yeah.
then having like a follow-up portfolio to share. And I really
Yep.
like what you said about connecting more on the human level instead of like, hey, I'm
Mm.
a VP or I'm a senior designer at
Yeah.
XYZ, right? It and people remember that. I think that plays a major
Mm-hmm.
role in building a personal brand.
Yep.
Uh, I know, like you mentioned about few tricks of having QR code on the phone, and that help you
Mm.
gain more, um, you know, more followers like that. Do you have any
Mm-hmm.
like other tactics where many introverts, or I think anyone would like feel very conscious while networking? Like, how do I go talk to this person? How do you
Mm.
personally like overcome that initial fear of taking that first
Yeah.
step? How do you think about it? Yeah.
You have to think of it, for me, this is how I tell myself, like, you have to think of it as when you're like a kid walking to the playground, and all you want to do today is make more friends. It's just as, like innocent as that. Like, I just want to know you as a person. Like, maybe I like your hat. Maybe I just like the way you dress. Maybe like, you're just next to me grabbing drinks. I just want to talk to you. It's hard if you go with expectation,
Mm,
right? Imagine if you go in and be like, this person has to feel impressed with me. Like, um, you can't control that. That's an
mm,
outside factor. But the fact that you go in being friendly and being just want to talk to you, that you can control. And so that's why I told you, if you groom yourself well, you feel more confidence. And again, it's just human nature where I'm like, oh, nice. I'm gonna talk to you. It's just that 1 second that's just gonna, be like connection happens, just like that. But
mm.
other thing is that yes, I feel nervous every time, every time when I approach
Yeah.
new people. But at the same time, I'm like, you know what? I just want to know you. That's all. If you don't want to know me, it's fine. That's all. Like, I don't want anything. All I want is to connect with you because maybe we turn to become a good friend. And that's like, I found so many amazing friends from networking events, and I never regret that. I'm so happy like that we get to say hello to each other, and then now we're good friends. And then like, because networking event for designer, we are pretty much similar in terms of like what we like. So when you actually connect with those friends, it's not only like you go out and have fun. You talk passion. You see this design, you come and discuss. It's not about work anymore. It's more about like, I like this, let's create more. Yeah, so I got nervous too. So don't
Mm.
be afraid if you get nervous. Just go in there. Just want to say hi. That's all. Yeah.
Yeah, the I like that you mentioned, right, network without
Mm-hmm.
expectation, and the fear is
Yeah.
always gonna be there. Like
Always there.
yeah, I'm an extrovert, but I always still have that initial fear of initiating. So I think any personality type you are, I think that's always gonna be there, but you just have to like push through it and like
Yeah.
network without expectations and just connecting on like
Mm-hmm.
a personal level, or a simple thing, right? Like, hey, like I
Mm-hmm.
like your bag, or things like that,
Yeah.
and start talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. Like, I want to like dive deeper a little bit more into personal brand. Can I come back to
Yeah.
it? There is this
Yeah.
misconception, or maybe it's true too, like having more following on social media to have a personal brand.
Mm.
What's like your take on it? Can people build personal brand without big social media presence?
Mm. Um, without, right? So without
Yeah.
social media at all, do you count
No,
from like
not
LinkedIn or
yeah, not completely not have social media, but not having
okay.
big following, you know.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's fine.
yeah,
Totally fine.
yeah.
So one thing is that because I do website design, so I have
Mm-hmm.
to scout website all the time, and the good resources are like, those kind of website portfolio. There's a lot of amazing designers that they don't have a lot of followers. And sometimes like you can tell that they don't need to have followers too. People actually know them already. But maybe okay, let's ground back to like something more simple where like, okay, what if I'm not that famous? I'm good. I don't have that much followers. Like, like how people going to think of me, right? First thing is that I think you still need to network. Doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter about follower or whatsoever, but I feel like the word followers on LinkedIn is so much different from like Instagram or I don't use any social medias like at all. I only stick with LinkedIn. In terms of followers on LinkedIn, I think of it differently. It doesn't matter how many people you connect, but this means how many people you can reach out to.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I don't mind. Like I grew from under 1K, right? And I'm not just like, oh, LinkedIn with 3K. Like, no, nobody cares about that. More of like, I can reach out to maybe like 30 of these people that maybe they can actually really help me, find this kind of job for my mentees. Or maybe like I can reach out to this 40 groups of people and then help each other arrange like an event that will help another group of people. Like you have more network to build a community, to build a project, or like to build an impact with, right? So it doesn't matter. And I want you to connect with people that actually like similar tune to what your passion lies, right? Like for me, um, I connect with a lot of people during the conflict too. Some people is just like I remember her like we love hip hop. We share Spotify link. We did not share LinkedIn link at all. But we still like, we still like know how to connect with each other, right? And doesn't matter if your followers really low right now. Is that what matters that you want to network and you want to grow to know more people that actually maybe your friend that work in the same project, maybe your boss in the future. And yeah, I have an amazing boss too. So shout out to John as well. His name is also John. Yeah. And
I'm
yeah,
not the
like
Nara's boss.
yeah, not this John, but
Yeah,
but a lot of Johns are amazing. I
yeah.
can say that. But
Okay.
yeah, like, yeah, imagine like you get to connect to like many, many people that you can actually branch out your interest, your impact, whatsoever too. So don't be afraid, And quick tips in order to just connect with people quickly. One thing that I find really useful to connect on LinkedIn is that you see each other face. There's all the information about who they are, where they studies, like everything. It looks legit,
Mm.
like that's one thing that's like about trust. Imagine like you just walk into a group of people and be like, I don't have LinkedIn, but I'm the VP of this company. Like they have to actually maybe have to Google up your name, go to the company website, scroll down to your name in the contact page, find you. It's really hard. So like that QR code that I will show and attach the link at the end of the clip, it's actually make me feel a lot easier to connect with people as well because you can actually just link to your profile and that's it. It's a legit place to like actually get connected. Yeah. No, you have a
Yeah,
question.
yeah. So yeah, I think like this has such good important tips, and even people to overcome some of the mental blockers they have
Yeah.
in terms of personal branding, right? And then
Yeah.
I like that you mentioned about, hey, you have 3,000 people, but I can reach out to
Mm-hmm.
those people, and
Mm-hmm.
that's like your reach, right? I think that's more
Mm-hmm.
impactful and meaningful. And
Yeah.
if you want to like talk about something, you can like reach out to those 30 people, and that's really
Yep.
gonna be helpful for someone just having that network and reach, and it not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily have 100K 200K. Having that
Yeah.
meaningful 20-30 people is still good. I love
Mm-hmm.
that. So we spoke a little bit about networking in person and talking meeting in like talking about interest and things like that, but in terms of like networking on LinkedIn and like reaching out to
Mm-hmm.
people, what like how would that approach look like? And sometimes people have
Mm-hmm.
this thought, what do I even message this person? And I get messages all the time. Oh, I'm looking for a job, can
Yeah.
you refer me? I was like, do I know you, dude? Yeah, so
Exactly. Exactly. That's why when I say connect, connect as a human. You don't go to your friend and be like, just text them and can I crash at your place for 3 days? You know,
mm,
you don't go with that context, right? You'll be like, hey, how are you? You know, like, have some issues, you know, like, is your house gonna be available? I need some help. You're not gonna go and like, hey, yo, I need help.
mm,
That's just not how you do it, even for your friends. That's why I said like when you connect with networks, don't think of them as a network. It's more like building community, friends, people sharing similar interests. And maybe one of those might become your best friend in the future. How can you know, you know? But that's why, like, you don't go and approach people, be like, hi, I need a job. Can you refer me? First, it's like, yes, do I know you? Like, how can I refer you when I don't know you, right? Like, yeah, I can refer you, but who are you? First thing, right? That's a thing that you're screaming in front of like your head. It's like, who are you? You know, but think about this. You connect in person. You know, the moment that you like start to exchange LinkedIn, it's not like when you actually see that person be like, hey, can you scan my QR code, get connect? Like, no. You say hi. You're really like, hey, this is my name. You know, I do this. Like, what you do? Like, you know, or maybe like, hey, you know what? Like, I'm sick of talking work. Like, let's talk about interest. Like, I'm a cat mom. You like cat? You know, like talk about something else. And then you can be like, oh yeah, that girl, that's a cat mom girl. And you're like,
mm,
oh, okay, she does branding. You know, and I'd be like, oh, okay, okay, I connect with her on LinkedIn. Now I remember. Build your story. That's all about personal branding too. You know,
mm.
all the good brand don't scream in your face, right? Because they know they're confident enough in themselves to actually stick with what they're good at. You're not gonna be like, I'm good at everything. You know, that's impossible. That's another thing about like personal branding too, is that you have to make sure you know what you're good at. Because like sometimes I see a lot of portfolio that scream all over the place. And that one portfolio was mine. I was there.
Mm.
I was there
Yeah,
too. So yeah, make sure like, you know, connect as a human, please. So, you
yeah,
know,
I
when you
think.
ask for help, it's like
Mhm.
this friend asking for help from friends. Yeah.
Yeah, I see a theme there, right? Like, if it's not, it's like there's a mapping between the real world and like digital networking as well. Like, if you go to a
Mm-hmm.
networking event and tell that, hey, I'm XYZ, can you refer me to your company, right? And like, does that translate in digital? It's similar when somebody asks. So I think building that like relationships first and then communicating
Mm-hmm.
your interest, and
Yeah.
because like people are open to refer to, because there's value to them as well to bring good people to the
Mm-hmm.
company. So
Yeah.
I think doing that in a very meaningful way is quite important. I know this one is like off topic, we didn't discuss, but I had another question I was curious about.
Sure. Sure,
um,
sure.
so I've been like interviewing like executives and founders also in
Mm-hmm.
this podcast, and but most of my audience are still designers, but there are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
founders and business owners as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then like now it's become like you build a personal brand before and have underlying products and services underneath that,
Mm-hmm.
right? What's your advice to like founders and business owners or like creators to build
Mm-hmm.
have like that personal brand,
Okay.
and how that helps them in their products and services they offer?
Okay. So first thing is that I will rephrase your question is that does this products ever like exist at all, or like this owner just like more like I cannot say like they are like the owner of the product yet, because like you're saying they don't have the product yet, or is that your question?
Let's say they
Like they
have.
built from nothing.
Yeah, let's say they have
Mm,
a service or a product they are trying
yeah,
to
to
sell. Yeah,
launch.
yeah.
Okay, so they might have the concept already of like what the product does, like, they already have that. It just like it doesn't convert yet. That's what you mean. Like they start to
Hmm.
launch,
Yeah.
what you're gonna do about it, right?
Hmm.
That's another thing why networking is so important.
Mm.
That's another thing that's why networking is so important. Second is that again, this is legit for every brand wanting to launch. Your website needs to look legit and not in
Mhm.
terms just looking legit on like desktop, mobile phone, iPad. It need to work everywhere. It need to be responsive. Um, and this kind of apply as a brand designer. This apply to every type of company. This is your person. It's like that's why sometimes I would recommend like hiring like some website developer because like some of the really good products, I understand the budget is limited, but like when we actually talk about content, like, wow, so good. Look at the website, I'm like, mm, what's going on there? Right?
Mhm.
So that's another thing about branding too. Like, you have to make sure it actually have the quality that it should at least reach, which is like being cohesive, being responsive. That's how you communicate with your market, right? Website, basically. How can you say you launch a product if you don't have any website that looks legit or like you can't just claim, right, things without having like a solid space to say that I own this stuff, right? So that's one thing, like, to all the product owners or like early entrepreneur, like and do need to have
Mhm.
a legit website, and it's okay. There's a bunch of web designer. I'm one of them as well. And we know as a brand designer, it needs to actually looks like cohesive. That's a one word that I always mention whenever we talk branding is that cohesiveness. It's just like when you dress up and you have a minimalist style throughout your body, right? You're not gonna have a polka dots on stripe. You're not gonna have a rainbow hat. You know, sometimes that's how all the websites are. So yeah,
Yeah.
you need to look legit. Yeah,
Hmm.
branding matters a lot.
Yeah. That makes sense. Nowadays, there's no excuse for you to have bad.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it comes back to your presentation, how you present yourself. You're
Mm-hmm.
presenting your business to
Yep.
through your website, and then when it looks legit for build that trust, right? And there's no
Mm-hmm.
excuse nowadays to not have that. So yeah, it's great to hear that, and I really appreciate you sharing about that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and Yeah, so I think one of the thing while networking is a lack of confidence, right? Like people
Mm.
struggle with that confidence. And when I
Yeah.
wrote my book, right, I wanted to theme everything around confidence and
Mm-hmm.
finding jobs. And there's so much things come back to having that confidence. How do people build that confidence when they have all this self-doubt within them, especially like
Mm.
creatives and
That's a
designers?
big topic.
They have a
Mm-hmm.
lot
That's a
of
big topic.
self-doubt, right? Yeah. Yeah. How did
Yeah.
you navigate it? Yeah.
Hmm. I think there's a lot of people talking to me about imposter syndromes. Like
Mm.
when they're like, am I? Am I? Like keep asking yourself. Like your brain is about believing. Like if you look at Olympic right now, you see their eyes are so different when they're like, I come here to do my best and I will win. You feel that aura coming out, right? Same thing as when you go to networking. You believe in what you do. First, like, do you believe in it? Right? I ask myself when I'm presenting some architecture, I'm like, this shit not gonna work. And I'm like, wait, I don't believe in this. I don't. But then when I see branding, I'm like, hey, this concept, this colors, this fonts, this kind of theme, voice and tone, this is gonna work. I have the research backup. I have all this, like it's not just because I believe, but I have research. I also like look at a lot of case studies. I talk to my client, like all those stuff. It's like, do you believe in it? How far you go to make sure your belief is actually like strong,
Mm.
make sure. Yeah. And then when I come back to this, do you believe that you're good at this? Do you believe that you do even better to make you better every day and be better at this? You're not just talk about good. No. I would say like I try really hard on a lot of stuff. I'm not that great, I would say, but I try really hard. You don't have to be great. You don't have to be good at it at the beginning. But the thing is that are you willing to keep trying? Maybe you're gonna fail. And then you have to be really sincere with yourself that, okay, it might not work. You know, it's okay. Maybe try something else. Or like, hey, okay, I failed. Maybe this is the 100th time already. Maybe the 101 time, that's when there's like the solution, you know? Like, how much you believe you're gonna go for it. You have to believe, you know. So that's one thing. Is like maybe it's really spiritual, but like this is the core of the confidence. Like, do you believe in what you do? Yeah.
Mm, yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, go ahead.
No, I think I believe is definitely the core foundation for confidence, I feel. And people sense that, right? Like when they ask
Mhm.
you question about your profession, do
Mhm.
you even believe like what you do? And I think it's
Mhm.
important people to kind of build their career
Mhm.
based on that beliefs, and then it turns
Yeah.
into confidence, right? Because
Yeah.
I personally, as a product designer, UX designer, I see value of UX design and the
Mhm.
business and product, right? That's
Yeah.
why my confidence comes into picture. if
Mhm.
you if you
Yep.
don't can't conceptualize that, I think it's hard for us to for people to have
Yeah.
that confidence. So yeah, that makes sense. You mentioned
Mhm.
something about the QR code and people can grab it, right? I'll definitely include that in the
Mhm.
description for YouTube and
Yeah.
Substack and everything. So tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about that template and how can people use it.
Yeah. So in terms of, we talk confidence, we talk about
Yeah,
believing,
correct.
right? Now it's executing,
Mm-hmm.
right? Execution. Oh wow, that's interesting. Yeah, so one of the thing that like I'm making sure that like I connect with people and make sure that I can actually connect that with them is a
Mm-hmm.
QR code I have on my phone. You basically, I think a lot of people start doing it now. The reason that I think it worked really well, I worked in event tech before. So we saw it, we use it like since like 2, 3 years ago. Um, I use it on my own, and then one thing that kind of like impressed me the most is that some people actually believe, oh no, not believe, but like some people remember me of the person that like showed them the QR code, and then they wanted to do it too. Um, yeah, how to do it is very easy. Like LinkedIn has a QR code that they can generate for your profile. And basically I built in Figma. Like this way I just, there's a lot of resources that you can build from. Figma is one of the free resources that you can actually, hold on to, grab onto, and then build from there. What I put is making sure that my branding from my website, my QR, all the materials, my resume, whatever is cohesive. You can notice the bright orange color in every materials that is from me
Mm-hmm.
because that's one of my colors. Yeah. So when you're actually creating one, maybe think about like what do you want people to see? What do you think your color is in terms of like your designer? For me, I love like orange and yellow because it shine bright like the sun and it's the stars. And also, I'm also an illustrator, so like my illustration that I draw to represent myself is called a star cat.
Mm-hmm.
I also can attach that in the Figma board if anyone interested to see when you're grabbing the QR code templates. But yeah, that QR code actually helps a lot because when you actually talk to people and then maybe like the conversation might end in 3 minutes or 5 minutes because they have to run somewhere, you may be like, hey, would you mind to like connect with me? It's just only gonna take you less than a minute. Just scan my code right here, and that's gonna make it work. Because like when people like have to type in their names into other people's phones, it's sometimes people don't like it. Sometimes it's like you snatch the phone out from their hand, type in, and they're like, "Oh, I cannot find it." It created a lot of glitch. So like this QR code kind of like make it a lot more smoother, and this is basically like user experience, faster, easier. That's it, done. Everyone just want to connect with you, right? And I want to add a little bit more. I know we are 5 minutes onto like the end, but in
Mm-hmm.
terms of believing what you do, there's another thing I need to add is that how far you want to go for it. It's not because like you wake up every day and believe like I'm a good designer. That's it. No. How far you want to go for it? Like you go out to the community that like obsess, maybe with like this design elements. Like for me, I also joined like Type Thursday, if I remember correctly, one time, and I realized like I want to create my own community called Web Wednesday.
Mm,
Because I love websites so much. I love it. I love like when all the brand have this cool feature like micro interaction, like
mm,
colors, like those kind of like contrast ratio that like, whoa, okay, this works. Like all those stuff. Like I was like, oh yeah, how far you want to go over? How far you want to like go out, meet people that share the same interests? How far you want to spend 2 hours like on your weekend looking at all these resources? How far you want to go like to go maybe like, you know, keep going, keep finding, keep developing, keep building. Just don't just believe. Believe is a very, very first step. But how far are you gonna develop? How far are you gonna keep growing? Like don't stop growing. That's another core thing that build your confidence. Because like maybe the information you just read yesterday turned out to be like something people talk about tomorrow, and then like that's another confidence when you join a conversation. Like, yeah, I read about this too. What's your opinion on that? Yeah, so believe, build it, keep growing. That's
yeah.
another thing I really need to add here. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I think whenever
Mm-hmm.
I used to mentor on ADP list, I mean, when I
Mm-hmm.
used to I ask them the deeper questions first, right? And that's
Mm-hmm.
where they eventually unlock, and then they find that confidence. I
Yeah.
think you brought that up.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just about believing, but
Yep.
asking those underlining questions of like how far you want to go, what does that mean to you? So that makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah, and love the color thing. And I also spent a lot of time figuring out like my colors, and I landed up on like black,
Yeah.
white, and blue for
Mm.
simplicity and trust. I think that's like my thing. So,
Yeah.
uh,
See?
yeah, yeah. So I think people can
Yeah.
find like few words that resonates with them and kind of find that branding
Mm-hmm.
colors or connect with you to learn
Yeah.
how to do it. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
sure.
Yeah.
I can attach
So,
the ADP list link for like how to book my mentorship. I'm closing it
mhm,
like for right now because like there's a
yeah.
lot going on, but I'll open it soon. Yeah, but
Mhm,
feel free, like there's a lot of stuff that maybe in the future I want to talk about too, like something about personal colors. There's a lot of
mhm,
trends about that too. And think about like personal color become like a business for people in Asia right now where people make sure that your skin color match the color of the clothes you wear. So you actually make sure your tone and everything like come out looking great. Think about that we develop into like personal branding, like, what kind of font that represent you, what kind of color that represent you, why is this shape, how does it communicate psychologically, all those stuff that's like gonna be so cool stuff. Yeah.
mhm. Yeah, I love that. And I think you also mentioned about your web
Mm-hmm.
community and stuff. That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
diving a lot lately into Framer. Been so fascinated by it.
Mm.
Yeah, web
Yeah.
development design is definitely an exciting space. And if you have that
Mm-hmm.
brand knowledge, and that's like such a powerful combination.
Yep.
So how like you
Exactly.
told a little bit about people can connect on ADP list, and there might be
Mm-hmm.
some other business folks or companies want to might to reach out to you, or even
Yeah.
designers or creative folks want to reach out to you. How can people connect with you, best reach out to you? What's like the best platform to get to know more about you? Yeah.
Yeah, there's only one place and it's LinkedIn.
Mhm, that's
Very
it.
easy. We will attach the link at the end of this clip, or we will also attach QR code if that's possible too. So you guys can try just put your phone in front of the QR code. It will link right to my profiles. For mentorship, like feel free to book my session on ADPList. And also, we are hosting a lot of events in New York, and we'll keep on doing it because it's summer. So yeah, feel free to follow me on LinkedIn. Like whenever we have like a new event coming out, then you should get notified for that. And other stuff, yeah, connect, ask question. It's okay. Yeah,
Mhm.
but connect as a human, as I told you. Come say
Connect us
hi,
as human.
talk passion. Yeah, talk
Yeah.
passion. Like, I'm so interested in this. Like, do you have some time to like discuss? I love all my mentees and mostly turned out to be my friends. So I love that. I would love to connect to more people. Yeah, we'll attach
Mm.
the link. So, and also don't forget to use the Figma link to create your own QR code. It will really come in handy for when you actually go for networking. Trust me, you know. And yeah, try it on your own. Maybe like, if you have some feedback, let me know, like, what I can
Yeah.
improve from there too. Yeah.
Yeah, love that. Thanks for sharing that with the community. Yeah, it's been so awesome
Mm-hmm.
to have you on the podcast, and we spoke a lot about personal branding, career transition, and I think the theme of it, like, connect as a human, I really like that. And then, yeah, the importance of personal branding, and then kind of how it helps to build that confidence, how to present yourself, and asking the deeper question, how far you want to go with what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's very like insightful, and it's definitely like gonna help a lot of the creatives out there, founders or designers who are kind of finding struggling
Awesome.
harder to like network. So I'm glad you
Mm-hmm.
shared everything you learned, and it's an exciting journey to see you grow as well with all these events and everything you're doing. That's awesome to the community,
Yeah.
and if I come to New York, I'll definitely attend one of your
Please.
event, or if you host anything in California and the Bay Area, happy to collab. Yeah,
Sure thing. Yeah. I'm for
it
sure
sounds
know that there should be something coming up. Yeah. Don't worry.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Should
yeah.
be should should be there soon.
I'm part of the ADP list Slack group, so I'll probably know from there
Yeah.
as yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there any final takeaway and key insights that you'll have to share with our audience? And
Mm,
I'll give the stage up to you. And yeah.
yeah, sure. Maybe like a quick summary is like, connect as a human, right? Talk passion, not position. And also believe and ask yourself how far you're willing to go. Keep growing. Maybe just this stuff, five stuff. It will build a lot of your confidence already, and it will also make networking a lot more smoother, right? Because you believe in what you do, you have the reason why you're doing it, and you want to connect to more people to keep growing it. That's all.
Mhm.
That's maybe the concentrated version of everything we talk about. And
Yeah.
yeah, as a
Yeah.
designer, your branding
Hmm.
really matters. So maybe like, experiment with like how you want to dress up, experiment with those and this is always fine. But also make sure it's appropriate. It's like, it talks and go in rhyme with the event you go. It's always fun, right? It's just like playing dress up and then making sure like, hey, this built my confidence, something like that.
Mm.
So, good
Yeah.
luck in your next networking event. If you have like any question, like feel free to reach out to me. We'll attach the link. We get to connect for sure. And maybe mention like, hey, I heard and I was listening to your podcast. So I'm like,
Hmm.
oh, okay. That's another way to connect to, like just making sure like you tell the person you want to connect with, like where actually we met, if we never met in person before, then just refer to like, hey, saw you on podcast. I'm really interested in this topic. Like, would you mind, like, having a mentorship with me? Like, I would love to help. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I think those are very insightful things that you shared,
Mm-hmm.
and like I always say, it's gonna be very valuable for people who are listening to it. And yeah, feel free to connect with Nara, and and get in touch with her. If you see this podcast, tell that you listen to the podcast and share feedback. I'll include
Mm-hmm.
all her links to connect, and the Figma links for the QR code to connect with her. And yeah, thank you, Nara, for being on the podcast. This has been really fruitful, and I really enjoyed listening to all this. And you brought up really insightful things and shared it with us. Thank you so much. And yeah,
Thank
I'll,
you.
yeah,
Thank you for having me too. And
yeah,
please have a great day. I will
yeah,
see you in the next event, the Spice Network or whatever. But we'll see
yeah.
you for sure.
Sounds good. Bye.
Yeah.